Here we go. Twilight, Chapter 1, First Sight. We open with our still unnamed narrator being taken to the airport by her mother. She's babbling on about the weather in Phoenix and what she's wearing, and we don't care. And with absolutely no transition, she starts talking about the town of Forks, Washington. This is apparently where she was born. Our narrator, before we even know what her name is, we find out, she's a bitch. It was in this town, that being Forks, Washington, that I'd been compelled to spend a month every summer until I was 14. That was the year I finally put my foot down. These past 3 summers, my dad, Charlie, vacationed with me in California for 2 weeks instead. In case you're not grasping why that is incredibly bitchy, instead of spending a month, which as far as this is telling us is the only time she spends with her father, we don't know if she spends holidays with him, but instead of spending this month with her father at his house, presumably, she throws a fit and is now only spending 2 weeks with him. He has to take those 2 weeks off work and vacation in California, which I'm certain isn't cheap. And she apparently does not care about the cost to her father, and that it might be inconvenient for him. She just doesn't want to be in Forks. So no, she's not just a bitch. She's a inconsiderate, selfish bitch. And she talks about how much she hates Forks and loves Phoenix, and she has a name. Her name is Bella. We already knew that, but this is the first time the book actually tells us this. Oh, we get a description of her mother. It's a fantastic description. Really helps me picture what her mother looks like. My mom looks like me, except for short hair and laugh lines. We don't fucking know what Bella looks like. It's not told us. So, it's just... her mom has short hair and laugh lines. That's all that tells me. And presumably Bella has long hair and no laugh lines. Oh, she's very condescending towards her mother. How could I leave my loving, erratic, harebrained mother to fend for herself? She just talks about her like she's a child. This is her mother. She bitches some more about having a Forks, and she talks about Twilight. She keeps calling her dad Charlie, which kind of pisses me off. Because she calls her mom, but her dad, she calls Charlie. I don't know why, but it really annoys me. But he's apparently, he seemed genuinely pleased that I was coming to live with him. So he's happy because his daughter, who, as far as we know, is his only child, is coming to live with him. Isn't that nice? Oh God. When I landed in Port Angeles, it was raining. I didn't see it as an omen, just unavoidable. I'd already said my goodbyes to the sun. Already said her goodbyes to the sun. That is one of the most melodramatic things I've ever read in my life. Well, apparently her father is the police chief of Forks. And so she stumbles off the plane. That's great. Oh gosh. I really don't like our narrator. I don't like her at all. So, her dad asks how her mother is, and she says, Mom's fine, it's good to see you too, Dad. I wasn't allowed to call him Charlie to his face. Of course you're not allowed to call him Charlie to his face. He's your father, you ungrateful little rat. He apparently found her car. Truck, actually, a Chevy truck. He got from apparently a friend of his that he used to go fishing with. It's a very old truck. It's from the early 60s, or late 50s. It apparently had a lot of work on the engine. Oh, he's already bought it for her. Isn't that nice? And she keeps bitching. Oh, the melodrama. No need to add that my being happy in Forks was an impossibility. Oh gosh. She complains about it being too green. Because apparently they don't have the color green in Phoenix. Don't know, never been. But apparently they don't have the color green. Learn something new every day. I would have thought they would have had green. I thought cactuses were green. They've got cactuses in Phoenix, don't they? Or around Phoenix. In Arizona, I know they've got cactuses. I know they do. It's the desert for shit. They get to the house. No truck's there, and she randomly loves it for no apparent reason. She's been complaining, and then she all of a sudden loves her truck. She describes her bedroom, and I don't care. She complains about having to share a bathroom with Charlie. Get over it. Oh, God. It was nice to be alone, not to have to smile and look pleased, or relieved to stare dejectedly out the window at the sheeting rain and let just a few tears escape. Okay, so we don't know why she's decided to move to Forks, but from what's been said, neither of her parents made her. It's her own decision, and she's, as far as I can tell, she's doing it just so she can have something to bitch about. She talks about how small Forks High School is. Only 357 students. That is kind of small. Okay. She starts talking about how she doesn't look like a girl from Phoenix should. It says, I should be tan, sporty, blonde, a volleyball player, or a cheerleader perhaps. All the things that go with living in the Valley of the Sun. Okay, tan, I'll give you. One would expect someone who lives in pretty much in the desert to be tan. Not necessarily sporty or blonde. You can be blonde without living in sunny places. I live in Ohio and I'm blonde. What? I don't understand. We actually get somewhat of a description of Bella. Instead, I was ivory-skinned without even the excuse of blue eyes or red hair. Okay. You guys have seen my other videos, you know I'm ridiculously pale. I don't have blue eyes or red hair either. It's not a prerequisite for being pale. Despite the constant sunshine, I had always been slender and soft somehow, obviously not an athlete. I didn't have the necessary hand-eye coordination to play sports without humiliating myself, and harming both myself and anyone else who stood too close. So she's apparently spectacularly clumsy. Like, not normal clumsy, like, cartoonishly clumsy. What? My skin could be pretty. It was very clear, almost translucent looking. The fuck? Clear. She says her skin can be clear. That's not pretty. That's fucking creepy. Could you imagine if somebody's skin was like see-through? That's disturbing. Talks about not relating well to people her own age or people at all, because she's a whiny bitch. Complains about not being able to sleep. Babbles on about the house. leaves for school. I donned my jacket, which had the feel of a biohazard suit. It's a fucking winter coat. She complains that her truck's loud. Of course it's loud. It's old. And the radio works. That's weird. Goes into the office. The receptionist asks how she can help her, and she says, "I'm Isabella Swan," I informed her. I saw the immediate awareness light in her eyes. I was expected. A topic of gossip, no doubt. I refused to say it in the first chapter. But you all know what I'm thinking. Or at least you should. Get you scheduled. Talk about other people's cars and how they all suck too. Except one. The nicest car here was a shiny Volvo, and it stood out. Yeah, I popped silver in there because I know it's silver. It doesn't say silver, but I know it's silver. But anyway, remember the Volvo. The Volvo is very important. Blah, blah, blah. She goes to class. Goes to the teacher. He gawked at me when he saw my name. I refused to say it. She talked about the reading list. It was fairly... This is apparently her English class. It was fairly basic. Bronte, Shakespeare, Chaucer, Faulkner. I'd already read everything. No! Not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. You should all know what I'm thinking, though. Just in case you don't, I'll give you a hint. It starts with a Mary and ends with a Sue. Because that part there, just, it's like, oh, look at all the things they're reading. I've already read them all, because I'm better than them. When the bell rang, a nasal buzzing sound, a gangly boy with skin cracking, hair black as an oil slick leaned across the aisle to talk to me. I love that the first thing she mentions about him is his skin problems. That's just really shallow. He looked like the overly helpful chess club type. God, she's a bitch. He offers to show her to her next class. Introduces himself as Eric. They start talking about Phoenix. And he says, "You don't look very tan. My mother is part albino." That was supposed to be a joke. We were supposed to find that funny. That was really stupid. I want to look. He's already got the hots for her. Maybe we'll have some classes together. He sounded hopeful. She's kind of walking to class with a girl she sat next to, intrigued in Spanish. I couldn't remember her name, so I smiled and nodded as she prattled about teachers and classes. I didn't try to keep up. This girl's being nice to her, telling her about teachers and classes and school and stuff. And she can't even be bothered to listen or remember her name. Oh, this girl's introducing her to her friends at her lunch table. I forgot all their names as soon as she spoke them. Ugh. Oh, and she notices the only people in the entire cafeteria who aren't staring at her. They didn't look anything alike. Of the three boys, one was big, muscled like a serious weightlifter, with dyed curly hair. Another was taller, leaner, but still muscular and honey blonde. The last was lanky, less bulky, with untidy bronze colored hair. What kind of color is bronze hair? I don't understand. He was more boyish than the others, who looked like they could be in college or even teachers here rather than students. The girls were opposites. The tall one was statuesque. She had a beautiful figure, the kind you saw on the cover of a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, the kind that made every girl around her take a hit on her self-esteem just by being in the same room. Her hair was golden, gently waving in the middle of her back. The short girl was pixie-like, thin in the extreme, small features. Her hair was a deep black, cropped short and pointing in every direction. They're all really pale. They all have very dark eyes despite the range in hair tones.
What?
Blah blah blah. And they're all ridiculously beautiful, apparently. She asks, what's her name? We don't know her name, so what's her name? Who they are. What's her name looks up. The bronze-haired boy looks at what's her name. And she, what's her name, identifies them as Edward and McCullen and Rosalie and Jasper Hare. And the tiny one who had laughed after the tiny one. Tiny little smaller girl laughed. That's Alice Cullen. They all live together with Dr. Cullen and his wife. She talks about how their name, Bella thinks about how their names are weird. She remembers that what's her name's name is actually Jessica. Isn't that nice? Jessica tells her they're all together though. Emmett and Rosalie and Jasper and Alice, I mean, and they live together. Apparently they're the Cullens are adopted, the Hales are foster children. Mrs. Cullen is their aunt. They moved there 2 years ago from Alaska. The bronze-haired boy. Bronze is apparently reddish-brown. Apparently that's the color we're talking about. If he says bronze, it's reddish-brown. And that's Edward. Aren't we all shocked? This is our love interest. As we know from our lovely little quote on the back. Edward is our love interest. Aren't we surprised? Blah, blah, blah. He apparently doesn't date. She walks to biology with one of the girls on the table, whose name is Angela. And the only seat open is next to, guess who? Edward Cullen. And he just starts glaring at her for no apparent reason. Like, he's like giving her like death glares for the entire class. And then he just runs out of class. When it's over, obviously. And then Bella talks about how she cries when she's angry, and then, aren't you Isabella Swan? And the old boy asked. I looked up to see a cute baby-faced boy, his pale blonde hair carefully gelled into orderly spikes, smiling at me in a friendly way. This is Mike. He's in her gym class. They walk to gym together. Now it's on. Okay, they're talking about Edward Cullen. He's a weird guy. Mike lingered by me instead of heading to the dressing room. If I were lucky enough to sit by you, I would talk to you. So there's now two guys that are kind of hot for her. And neither of them are a main love interest. The main love interest was glaring at her. Blah, blah, blah. She sits at the gym. They're playing volleyball, but she doesn't have to play. She goes to the office. Edward Cullen's there, trying to get switched out of their biology class. And then Bella leaves, gets in her truck, and goes home, fighting cheers the whole way there. What I love about that chapter is it's called First Sight, right? So it's kind of this whole, it's the whole love at first sight thing. Except he's giving her death glares. Like, that's the only, like, they have no interaction. Except Edward Cullen just glaring at Bella for an entire class. That's great. That's can't you tell? They're soulmates.